The ballroom lights may shine bright in Bridgerton, but Season 4 is hiding shadows darker than anything the Ton has ever seen. Secrets are tightening like ribbons. Fate is shifting behind closed doors. And the next Bridgerton love story may not be the fairy tale fans expect. Before Season 4 arrives, let's uncover the first major twist that will change everything. Season 4 is preparing to shift the spotlight, and all signs suggest that this time, the heart of the story belongs to Benedict Bridgerton, or at least that's what fans believe. At the end of Season 3, Benedict stands at a crossroads. He has tasted freedom, questioned society's rules, and stepped into a world where he finally feels like himself. But Season 4 will challenge him in a way he has never experienced before. The writers are setting him up for a love story that is not sweet or simple. It's a story that forces him to face his own desires, fears, and the parts of himself he tries to hide. The twist begins with the arrival of a mysterious new woman who turns Benedict's world upside down. She isn't the typical debutante that society expects him to be with. She is bold, unapologetic, and carries secrets of her own. Their chemistry is instant, but dangerous. She pulls him into a life that excites him yet threatens his place in the Bridgerton family. This is where the darker tone of the season begins. Benedict will face choices that test his loyalty, his reputation, and even his future within the Ton. But while Benedict's journey looks promising, there is a quiet shift happening in the background, one that hints the true central love story may not be Benedict's at all. Francesca Bridgerton, newly married and entering a new chapter of her life, is stepping into her own emotional storm. Her marriage to John Sterling appears calm on the surface, but Season 4 is preparing to explore a darker, more complicated path for her. This path will connect deeply to her identity and the person she becomes later in the series season. 4's central love story is not just romance's transformation. It is about characters stepping into truths they have been afraid to face. It is about understanding that love does not always arrive in perfect form. And sometimes the heart wants something that society refuses to accept. Whether the season focuses on Benedict, Francesca, or both, one thing is clear. The writers are crafting a narrative filled with emotional struggle, hidden tension, and life-changing decisions. This love story will shape the future of the Bridgerton family, and it will set the tone for the seasons that follow while the Bridgertons dance under chandeliers and whisper about romance. Another household is preparing to unleash a storm, one loud enough to shake the entire Ton. The Featheringtons have always walked a fine line between survival and disaster. But in Season 4, that line becomes razor thin. Their bright gowns and polite smiles can no longer hide the truth. Something is breaking behind those emerald green curtains. It begins with Portia Featherington. She has rebuilt her family's life more times than the Ton can count. But this time the foundations are weaker, and the lies she layered so carefully are starting to slip. Rumors swirl that the family's finances are in deeper trouble than ever before. The fortune she once faked her way into is drying up, and the new lord of the estate is not as easy to control as she hoped. Portia knows that one wrong move could send her daughters into ruin, and she will stop at nothing to prevent that. But the choices ahead of her may be the darkest she has ever made. The real twist begins with the arrival of a respectable gentleman who enters the Featherington circle under the guise of business. On the outside, he appears charming, helpful, even generous. But his smiles are too measured, his questions too precise, and his interest in the Featherington women far too focused. Little by little, the Ton begins to whisper that he is not what he claims to be. Some say he carries debts. Others claim he is tied to criminal hands. What makes him dangerous is not just his secrets, but the fact that Portia may need him more than she fears him. As this man tightens his influence over the family, the tone of the Featherington storyline shifts. The once comedic, colorful chaos turns into something heavier and more suspenseful. Penelope, now married and trying to maintain stability in her new life, senses that her mother's choices might draw danger straight to her doorstep. The Featherington estate becomes a place of late-night arguments, hidden letters, and doors that close just a little too loudly. Season 4's Featherington. Plot is not simply about deception, it is about survival. It explores what happens when a family known for schemes, faces someone whose schemes are far more powerful. Someone who does not play games. Someone who wants something from the Featheringtons that they may not be willing to give. By the time the season reaches its midpoint, this storyline will reveal its true shape, a battle of control, reputation, and fear. And unlike previous seasons, this scandal does not promise a humorous escape. It promises consequences. The Ton celebrates their marriage as a fairy tale ending. Two longtime friends finally finding love after years of longing. But Season 4 quietly reminds us that happy endings are only the beginning. Penelope and Colin may smile at the world, but behind the polished carriages and shared breakfasts, a storm is forming, not from outside enemies, but from truths they both carry inside. Penelope enters marriage carrying a secret that has shaped her entire adult life. Lady Whistledown has always been her armor, her voice, and her shield. But now that identity has become a chain. With Colin by her side, the fear is stronger than ever. Every time she writes a new scandal sheet, her hands shake with the fear that he might discover it. Every time he praises honesty and trust, her heart tightens. She wants to tell him. She also knows that telling him may destroy the fragile peace they have barely begun to build. Colin, for his part, carries a different burden. He is determined to be the perfect husband, protective, loving, and strong. But perfection is a cage, and Colin is starting to feel its weight. The Ton watches his marriage with curious eyes, whispering whether Penelope truly fits the Bridgerton mold. Colin hears those whispers. He pretends they do not bother him. But deep inside, he worries. Not about society's approval. He has never needed that. He worries that Penelope might still doubt him, that she may believe she is not enough, or worse, that she does not trust him with her full truth. This quiet fear grows. When strange letters begin arriving at the Featherington home, letters with no signature, letters hinting that Lady Whistledown's identity is not as hidden as Penelope believes. At first, she hides them. Then, she burns them. But the more she tries to protect her marriage from danger, the more danger creeps into it. Secrets have a way of scratching through locked doors. Colin begins to notice small cracks. Look of panic when he enters the room too quietly. A letter she shoves into her sleeve. A late-night walk she claims is for fresh air. These tiny signs build into something larger. Something neither of them wants to admit. Trust, once shaken, becomes delicate. And this is where Season 4 takes a darker turn. Penelope is no longer just fighting the Ton, she is fighting for her marriage. Colin is no longer just a husband. He is a man sensing something slipping away from him. They love each other deeply, but love alone cannot hold back secrets, especially secrets with power. As the season moves forward, their storyline becomes a dance between confession and fear. A dance that will either bind them together forever, or tear open a wound that neither of them is ready to face. Benedict Bridgerton has always stood slightly outside the rules of high society. He enjoys its dances but never truly belongs to them. In Season 4, this gap between him and the world around him finally widens into a dangerous path, one he never meant to walk, yet cannot turn away from. His story shifts from quiet rebellion to something far more intense. Shaped by passion, fear, and a connection he does not fully understand. It starts innocently. Benedict meets someone who sees him not as a Bridgerton, not as the second son, but as a man with dreams and desires no one else bothers to look at. She challenges him. She excites him. She makes him feel alive in ways he did not know were missing. But there is something shadowed in her eyes, something unsaid in her silences. She carries her own secrets that pull Benedict into a world that feels thrilling at first, then slowly becomes harder to control. The deeper Benedict falls for her, the more he begins to drift from his family. Late nights turn into hidden meetings. Honest conversations with his siblings become short and distant. He tells himself, it is just a phase, a distraction. But he knows better. She awakens a part of him that was always there, waiting for someone bold enough to touch it. Yet with every step closer, he senses that he is walking into a story that does not promise a happy ending. This relationship forces Benedict to face truths he has avoided for years. He must confront the parts of himself that society has always pushed aside: the artist in him, the dreamer in him, the man who refuses to be shaped by the same rules that formed his brothers. But embracing these parts comes with consequences. His lover's past begins to surface in fragments, whispered in street corners and hinted through people who know her better than he does. Suddenly, Benedict realizes he may not love a woman of mystery. He may love a woman of danger. Season 4 explores his internal struggle with delicate, painful threads. Benedict wants freedom, but freedom can be frightening. He wants passion. Francesca Bridgerton has always moved differently from her siblings, quiet, graceful, almost hidden from the noise of the ton. But in Season 4, silence becomes her greatest weapon and her deepest curse. Her story unfolds not with fanfare, but with a slow, haunting pull that draws her into a love story unlike any other in the Bridgerton world. A love story shaped by calm waters on the surface and a dark, predictable current underneath. Her marriage to John Sterling begins gently. He is soft-spoken, thoughtful, the kind of man who notices small details and speaks with care. Together, they appear steady, almost serene, as if their love was crafted from stillness rather than desire. But the stillness is misleading. It carries a weight that even Francesca cannot name. John has a world inside him that no one fully sees, a world of quiet shadows and unsaid emotions. His calm can feel comforting one moment, disturbingly distant the next. This emotional distance becomes more complicated with the introduction of John's cousin Michaela, or Michael, depending on the show's adaptation. Their presence strikes Francesca in a way she cannot explain. A pull, a spark, a strange ache she does not have the words for. It is not an instant romance. It is something deeper, something slow-burning. Something that begins at the edge of awareness and grows stronger with every shared glance. Francesca tries to ignore it. She tries to focus on her husband, her duties, her reputation. But the heart is louder than her thoughts, and her heart is starting to shift. Season 4 takes this triangle and turns it into an emotional labyrinth. Francesca is torn between loyalty and truth, between the life she promised and the life she secretly longs for. Her love for John is real, yet incomplete. Her connection with Michael is frighteningly intense, almost too honest, too raw. She feels seen in a way she never expected, and this recognition becomes the most dangerous feeling of all. But the darkest twist comes from fate itself. Francesca will face a loss that shakes her world, a moment that breaks open everything she tried to keep contained. Grief changes her, reshaping her heart and forcing her to understand that love is not simple. It is not polite. It is not always allowed. It pushes, it disrupts, it rewrites lives without asking permission. By the end of Season 4, Francesca's storyline stands as one of the most haunting and emotional arcs in the series. It challenges the meaning of love, loyalty, and identity, and it marks the beginning of a journey that will redefine her place in the Bridgerton family and in the hearts of viewers. Every Bridgerton season has its glitter, its romance, its joy. But Season 4 dares to do what the earlier seasons only hinted at. It delivers a loss powerful enough to shift the entire world of the ton. A death not used for shock value, but for transformation. A death that reaches into every storyline, leaving fingerprints on the hearts of characters who believed their futures were certain. This loss does not arrive loudly. It does not come with screams or public tragedy. Instead, it slips in quietly, the way true heartbreak often does. One moment life is steady, and the next it shatters. The character at the center of this fate is someone trusted, gentle, and often overlooked, someone whose absence exposes emotional cracks in every family connected to them. For Francesca, this death becomes the turning point of her season. John Sterling's quiet world begins to tremble. Francesca finds herself caught in an emotional storm she hoped she would never face. The still life she believed she was building suddenly feels fragile. She watches a man she cares for fade in slow motion, a loss she cannot stop, a goodbye she is not ready to give. The sorrow is not dramatic, is soft, painful, and haunting. It's a kind of grief that wraps itself around the soul and refuses to let go. But this storyline affects more than just Francesca. The Bridgertons themselves feel the ripple of worry, fear, and responsibility. They realize that even their powerful name cannot protect them from fate's cruelty. Benedict becomes more aware of life's fragility as he stands at a crossroads in his own love story. Colin grows more protective of Penelope, recognizing how easily happiness can slip away. Even Violet, the mother of them all, finds old wounds reopening, reminding her of loss she once endured. Outside the Bridgerton household, the Ton reacts with a mix of sympathy and cold curiosity. Gossip spreads quickly, but this time even Lady Whistledown's pages feel heavier. The death forces Penelope to question her role as a writer. How do you report tragedy when it touches the people you love? How do you balance truth with compassion? Her guilt presses on her chest like a stone, making her wonder if her words have consequences she never intended. What makes this death so impactful is not the event itself, but the quiet changes it causes. Relationships shift. Secrets feel heavier. Dreams are interrupted. And for some, the loss becomes a doorway to a future they never imagined. Dark, frightening, but strangely necessary. Season 4 uses this moment to remind viewers of a painful truth. Love is powerful, but it cannot shield anyone from fate. And sometimes, it is lost not. Love that shapes the strongest parts of a person as the season marches toward its final moments. The ballroom lights grow dimmer, the whispers grow sharper, and one force rises above all others, the Queen. Her suspicion has been slowly building, fed by half-truths and subtle clues, and now she stands closer than ever to unmasking Lady Whistledown. What began as a game of wits has evolved into a quiet war, and the Queen is no longer amused. She is determined, focused, dangerous. In Season 4, her presence becomes a shadow trailing behind Penelope, slipping into conversations, watching from balconies, listening when no one realizes she is near. The Queen does not strike openly, she is far too clever for that. Instead, she builds a trap step by step, using the Ton's own hunger for gossip as her weapon. She sends spies into drawing rooms. She questions servants. She notices patterns others ignore. And with every new piece of information, the walls close tighter around Penelope. The trap snaps shut during a lavish event near the end of the season. A ball overflowing with music, jewels, and masks fitting, since everyone there is hiding something. At the height of the evening, a scandal sheet appears, fresher than ever, but this time the Queen is ready. She orchestrates a situation that forces Whistledown's hand. And Penelope realizes she is seconds away from losing everything. Her marriage, her reputation, her freedom. But the twist does not end with the Queen's suspicions. Someone else knows the truth. Someone closer than Penelope expects. A person who has been watching her choices with growing unease. A person who threatens to reveal her identity not out of cruelty, but out of fear. Fear that Penelope's lies could pull the entire Bridgerton family into ruin. This betrayal hits harder than any royal threat because it comes from love, not hatred. And it creates a divide that even marriage may not heal. The final minutes of the season spiral into a storm of confession, panic, and heartbreak. Colin's trust is pushed to the edge. Benedict faces the consequences of his choices. Francesca steps into a future she never imagined. And the Queen, satisfied but not finished, prepares the Ton for a reckoning that will stretch far beyond Season 4. The last twist arrives in complete silence. A letter, unsealed, left on a desk in the dark. Inside it, a truth that shakes Penelope's entire world and sets the stage for Season 5. A truth that reveals she is not the only one writing secrets into the lives of others. The final scene closes, not with closure, but with a promise. The Ton has survived scandals before, but nothing will prepare them for what comes next.